Hello, and welcome to what should hopefully be a good long-running series on the subject of my testing the vocalizations I have and the effects of abstaining from wankery or the lack thereof. So without further ado, let's start up the voice pitch analyzer to conduct the testing. Here's the previous 6 or so episodes of results. Alright, and press the record button. Remember all that so I don't have to do this over and over again. Go into the gallery, bring up the classic book, and begin. The Penguin Sherlock Holmes Collection, A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Dubbed The Literary Super Sleuth by The Daily Express. Chapter 1, page 3, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army. Having completed my studies there, I was duly attached to the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers as assistant surgeon. The regiment was stationed in India at the time, and before I could join it, the Second Afghan War had broken out. On landing at Bombay, I learned that my corps had advanced through the passes and was already deep in the enemy's country. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar in safety, where I found my regiment and at once entered upon my new duties. The campaign brought honors and promotion to many, but for me it had nothing but misfortune and disaster. I was removed from my brigade and attached to the Berkshires, with whom I served at the fatal battle of Maiwand. There I was struck on the shoulder by a Jezail bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous Gazy had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who threw me across a pack horse and succeeded in bringing me safely to the British lines. Worn with pain and weak from prolonged hardships which I had undergone, I was removed, with a great train of wounded sufferers, to the base hospital at Peshawar. Here I rallied, and had already improved so far as to be able to walk about the wards, and even to bask a little upon the veranda, when I was struck down by enteric fever, that curse of our Indian possessions. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I was so weak and emaciated that the chemical board determined that not a day should be lost in sending me back to England. I landed a month later on the Portsmouth jetty, with my health irretrievably ruined, but with permission from a paternal government to spend the next 9 months in attempting to improve it. I had neither kith nor kin in England, and was therefore as free as air, or as free as an income of 11 shillings and 6 pence a day will permit a man to be. Under such circumstances, I naturally gravitated to London, that great cesspool into which all the loungers and idlers of the empire are irresistibly drained. There I stayed for some time at a private hotel in the Strand, leading a comfortless, meaningless existence, and spending such money as I had, considerably more freely than I ought. So alarming did the state of my finances become that I soon realized that I must either leave the metropolis and rusticate somewhere in the country, or that I must make a complete alteration in my style of living. Choosing the latter alternative, I began by making up my mind to leave the hotel and to take up my quarters in some less pretentious and less expensive domicile. On the very day that I had come to this conclusion, I was standing at the Satyrian bar when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and turning round, I recognized young Stamford, who had been a dresser under me at Bart's. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. In old days, Stamford had never been a particular crony of mine, but now I hailed him with enthusiasm, and he, in his turn, appeared to be delighted to see me. In the exuberance of my joy, I asked him to lunch with me at the Holborn, and we started off together in a hansom. "Whatever have you been doing with yourself, Watson?" he asked in undisguised wonder, as we rattled through the crowded London streets. "You are as thin as a lathe and as brown as a nut." I gave him a short sketch of my adventures, and had hardly concluded it by the time we reached our destination. "Poor devil," he said, commiseratingly, after he had listened to my misfortunes. "What are you up to now?" "Looking for lodgings," I answered, trying to solve the problem as to whether it is possible to get comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. "That's a strange thing," remarked my companion. "You are the second man today that has used that expression to me." "And who was the first?" I asked. A fellow who is working at the chemical laboratory up at the hospital. He was bemoaning himself this morning because he could not get someone to go halves with him." And there's our results with the range. Thick range, decently low, not extraordinarily high. Let's go over the pitch over time, and I've found myself a secluded place to make these recordings, by the way, free from noise and disruption and other bothersome characteristics, except for the occasional bug that likes to crawl around and make me itchy fucking fire ants and other shit like mosquitoes. Fuck off. Anyways, pitch over time. Definitely feminine in early, one mid, and one late. Quite low early as well, and then low mid, and then all over the place in between. Any details? Wow. A very decent minimum. A very decent minimum indeed. General average, though, is still quite high, which is to be expected. If you placed any bets, over these past couple of days since the last episode, I have not been disciplined in the slightest. And once you break discipline, it's sort of an in for a penny, in for a pound sort of affair. It just really is a slump of a state of mind. The only benefit to these past couple of days, to me, really, that I've found in just my way of living is I finally procured a nice bottle of hot sauce, and then just the other day, I lost it. But over those past couple of days, I was pouring about 12 dabs of what was allegedly ghost pepper hot sauce made in Colombia or something, which its leading ingredient was vinegar, but then the second ingredient was ghost peppers, and then the third was, I don't know, some sort of vegetable or fruit or what have you. So anyways, I have noticed that has drastically helped me clear myself of the flu that was afflicting me for about two weeks or so, or just over a week, which is quite nice. And I definitely feel my system is well purified, not totally purified, but well purified from having hot sauce routinely with my meals. So I'll keep that up. Anywho, in the interest of keeping these episodes not too protracted, I'll conclude with giving a little bit of a notice that should be around about next week or so, or actually in just over a week's time, next month, the 28th, I'll be finally getting the test results from, or at least I should be since I have a doctor's appointment, from some manliness tests, and then I'll have all the data to make a video on it. and that should be most excellent. That should be most excellent to have all that finished up and finalized. Yeah, that should be most superb. Anyways, I'll leave it there.